Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today I want to talk to you about two different pool cue shafts. I have played with both of these, this one for about 5 years, this one for about 15 years. Actually, this is the third generation Predator 314. This is a Predator Revo. Predator does sponsor my channel, and I bought both of these particular shafts with my own money. Let's talk about two different things. Maple shafts, carbon fiber shafts, standard deflection shafts, and low deflection shafts. Now, both of these shafts are low deflection. For those of you that don't know the difference between low deflection and standard deflection, when a cue ball is struck on the left or right with spin, side spin, or what we call English, the cue ball actually squirts slightly to the opposite direction. In other words, if I hit it on the right-hand side, it gets pushed to the left-hand side as it goes down the table towards its target. This is a very subtle thing, but you only need very subtle things in order to miss shots. So if you are using side spin on a shot, for example, you are going to have more accuracy with low deflection. Predator is kind of the godfather of low deflection because the original 314 is what brought the entire low deflection industry to the limelight. And if you watch the top 10 players today, just about everyone is using low deflection. Yes, even our boy Earl. So why would I want low deflection if I'm a player that doesn't put a lot of spin on the ball? When we talk about spin, again, we're talking about English side spin. Because players put spin on the ball when they don't want to. So if I can reduce the amount of deflection when I intentionally put spin on the ball, it also reduces the amount of deflection when you unintentionally put spin on the ball. So the next person that tells you it is not the arrow, it's the archer, remind them that they have never bought an arrow in their life. Because I've bought arrows, and a $5 arrow does not fly as well as a $35 arrow. So the same thing holds true here. If you're not going to use low deflection equipment, that's really a choice that you make, but don't run around saying that there's no difference between a $500 shaft and a $50 shaft, because there is a major difference. I have put low deflection shafts in the hands of players that have only played with standard deflection, and they have upped their game. Even when they're not using any English, the ball travels truer when you have low deflection. The reason that a lot of low-level players don't understand deflection and don't even see it on the table when they're shooting is because they hit the ball so hard that the ball doesn't have time to deflect anyway. So if you're a banger, no, you don't know what deflection is. You don't know what throw is. You don't know what cut-induced throw is because you don't see it. It happens too fast and you're not aware of it. But elite players know immediately whether they have a standard deflection, a low deflection, a truly low deflection shaft in their hands. We do not have to do any tests where we shoot the ball straight up and down at a diamond and see on a piece of paper how far the ball has deflected. Some of the most ridiculous ideas I've ever seen to determine deflection in my life. Next item, low deflection does cost more than standard deflection. If someone sells you a low deflection cue that costs less than $150, $200, and we're talking about just the shaft, then it is not truly low deflection. The term low deflection is not governed, is not policed by any governing body. So I can make a shaft in my garage and call it low deflection. Nobody's coming to sue me or take that cue off the market or whatever. So there are some very low priced cues that are calling themselves low deflection. At this point in my life, I will never be playing anything that is important with a standard deflection cue. I've been playing with low deflection ever since I bought my first Predator 314 over 15 years ago. And Mike Massey turned me on to the Predator 314 over 15 years ago. And why this is significant is because at the time, Massey had his own cue line, the Mike Massey cues. Guess what Mike Massey had on his cue? Predator 314. That's enough selling point for me. Since then, Predator has come out with carbon fiber. I was an old school guy. I stayed away from carbon fiber. Then after using one for about 2 or 3 weeks, I was sold. Probably won't go back to purchasing at least a maple shaft. So let's talk about the differences and why. First off, just like the maple shaft is more expensive than a standard maple shaft that is not truly low deflection, carbon fiber is more expensive than wood. Carbon fiber is more expensive than wood for a number of reasons. First off, it is a lot more expensive to manufacture. Yes, it costs money to make these things. It costs money for research and development. Those of you that think certain things are overpriced because you don't want to spend the money for them, you have to ask yourself, do they sell any of them? Because a lot of the things that people say are overpriced are being sold a lot. It can't be overpriced if people are buying it. And if millions of people are buying it, maybe you're the problem. Anyway, I'm just saying. So there are an endless amount of advantages with the carbon fiber. Let's talk about the major ones. Carbon fiber is actually lower deflection than maple shafts. Carbon fiber lasts a long time. Any maple shaft, from the time you take it out of the box, it is aging. It is getting dirty. It is changing. It is not the same shaft a month later that it was the day you first used it. So that is a very important thing because carbon fiber feels the same way in your hand the day you buy it, 6 months later, and in the case of this one, 4 years later. It doesn't change. Wood changes every single day. Which brings me to my next thing. I don't like to even shape the tip of my cue, but I have to do it. That's all the maintenance you need here. If you take an alcohol swab and wipe this down, it is like you just took it out of the box. Where this item, regardless of who makes it, you're putting waxes on it. Some of you are putting sandpaper on it. Please stop. That is the worst thing you can possibly do to that. If you have a maple shaft, it is going to be in danger every time you put it in your car and there are drastic changes in temperature, just like anything that is wood. So consistency is what you're going to find in carbon fiber, and this is why you're going to see, if not everyone in the Moscone Cup using it, at least 80–90%, because it is the same all the time. And even though a lot of players wear gloves these days, I've found that there is absolutely no thought in my mind about wearing a glove if I'm using carbon fiber. It is always nice and smooth through my hands. All of that said, why would I buy a maple shaft versus a carbon fiber shaft? The number one reason, and for many people the only reason, is price. I can get 1 1/2, maybe almost 2 of these for the cost of this one. So price is an issue. Some people are purists. Some people don't like the black carbon fiber shafts. They don't like it visually. I think they're beautiful, but you might not. So purist, I don't even know why you're watching this video other than being able to go in the comments and say, I'm not using that carbon fiber stuff. Well, that's okay. We don't need you to. There's millions of people that are using it, and I don't care what you use. And frankly, if you're playing me, I want you to be using the absolute worst piece of crap that you could find in your bag. That's my ideal situation as far as somebody's playing with me. Now let's go back to economics though. Let's say that this one costs twice as much as that one, which is not quite twice as much, but let's say it does cost twice as much. Guess how often you're going to replace this? Never. Never. You can bang it on the table, you can throw it out the window and go get it, you can leave it in your car, you can do whatever you want to do. Unless you go out of your way to abuse this, you are not going to hurt it. It is not going to need to be replaced. This is a Predator 314 third generation. If I had to play with a wooden shaft, this is what I would be using. But if this falls over and hits the edge of the table, I might have a ding in it. Don't do things that are going to hurt your wooden shafts, but in the meantime, while this guy has bought his third wooden shaft, regardless of what brand it is, this guy is still enjoying the same shaft that he bought before. So economically, this one catches up. This one saves you money over time simply because you're less likely to replace it or to have to replace it or for something to happen to it. And the amount of money that some of you are spending on maintenance on your wooden shafts is mind-boggling. You're buying all of these little sanding cloths and waxes and all of that stuff. If I had to spend just 1 hour every 6 months doing maintenance on a shaft, I wouldn't like that shaft very much. That's my own personal feeling. So those are the differences. Regardless of which one you go with, I use only Predator equipment. So those of you that think I use exclusively Predator equipment because they sponsor me, you're absolutely wrong. Predator sponsored me because they tuned into my videos and I was using exclusively their equipment. I've been playing with Predator equipment 100% with the exception of one off-brand that I used simply because I was going into some places where I did not want to have anything in my hand that cost more than $200 because the place was kind of seedy and okay, you might want to cut that part out. Wood, carbon fiber, the choice is yours. I do recommend low deflection, and if you can afford it, go with the carbon fiber. In the long run, it's going to pay for itself. And if you have any questions for me, hit me in the comments or send me an email to the address below. Have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate you watching.
Hey gang, if you enjoy FX Billiards on YouTube, you'll love FXBTV. It's the ultimate streaming platform for exclusive videos, tips, and techniques you won't find anywhere else. Join now to lock in our special introductory rate and be part of the FX Billiards community.